Welcome back to Yahoo Finance Live. It has been an ugly week for Bitcoin, the world's largest cryptocurrency by market cap, slumping yet again today, hitting its lowest level since September. We've seen it now just hovering right around that $41,000 handle. To talk more about that, let's bring in Fundstrat Head of Digital Asset Strategy, Farrell. He's joining us as part of our Crypto Corner segment presented by Tastyworks. Sean, good to talk to you today. Walk me through the moves here. We've got obviously a hawkish Fed that really kind of spilled over into the crypto market, but also a lot of people watching what's playing out in Kazakhstan, especially given the blackout there and potential impact with Bitcoin mining.
Yeah, both great points. Thanks for having me, first off. I guess just first to touch upon the macro perspective, obviously, over at Fundstrat, we had a $100,000 price target heading into year end of 2021. Obviously, we did not get there. Had a phenomenal year. If you bought the dips, you probably made out quite well. But yeah, the action we've been seeing over the past few days, past several weeks, actually have been centered around the fears within the legacy markets around Fed tightening. The raising of interest rates, and we've kind of seen this sell-off of all unprofitable tech stocks, and Bitcoin has been traded, in lockstep with those smaller cap tech stocks. As it pertains to Kazakhstan, I think there's nothing actually driving price there. We did note that when the internet went out in Kazakhstan, it's tough to ascribe hash rate to specific geographic areas in the short term, but preliminary indications speak to about 8 to 12% of hash rate located in Kazakhstan, which is pretty large given the size of that nation. But I think the long-term concerns over that are pretty de minimis. We saw China, go offline effectively last summer, and hash rate plummeted about 50%, and we actually crossed all-time high for computing power on the Bitcoin network last year. So, that spoke to the resiliency of the Bitcoin network, and not sure there's any concerns with regards to hash rate.
Yeah, maybe correlated in terms of when we saw some of that volatility strike last year around China. Of course, you had every news headline around then kind of flagging that it was banning Bitcoin mining for, I don't know, I've lost count of how many times those headlines have run. But when we look at, I guess, what 2022 could hold aside from Bitcoin, we've already seen some of these altcoins hold their own, even as Bitcoin's dropped 17% over the last month. I've been watching Phantom and Atom, and I guess those are two good examples because they're up 75% over the same time horizon. Is that maybe one of the stories in terms of how mature the market's gotten in crypto, that you could have maybe some altcoins still enjoying maybe a good start to the year while Bitcoin and Ethereum aren't?
That's a really good point. And something we noted in our research last year is that there were enough capital inflows into the altcoin market to preserve, outperformers within the altcoin ecosystem outside of just Bitcoin. Overall, given the latest sell-off has actually seen the lion's share of altcoins follow Bitcoin. I think there are several factors at play here. One being the fact that a lot of these traders that made a windfall off of these altcoins last year now realize they're going to have to pay taxes in a couple months. So I think there's a little less buying pressure from some of these altcoin traders right now. And what we're really going to see, we're still formalizing our views on 2022 and plan to release those in a couple weeks. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to see, a continued volatility on the short and medium term. Could be a good opportunity for short-term traders. But in end of Q2, Q3, I think what ends up happening is the Fed will probably start to take their foot off the brake, and when the tide finally pulls out and things volatility starts to calm down, we're going to see which altcoin assets rebound the quickest, which outperform, and these are going to be the ones that investors are really going to want to hop into and get in at a very good entry point and hopefully reap the reward into year end.
Let's talk the other one too. I mean, $100,000 on Bitcoin was one price call. There was another one that was matched by what we were hearing from you guys on Ethereum. Megan Casper had been talking about 8 to 10,000 for Ethereum, and that got pushed back as we saw some of the network upgrades on Ethereum get pushed back as well. And now you guys are kind of taking a technical analysis to what's going on with Ethereum. I was looking at your note. Pretty interesting to see maybe watching for support around 2472. Obviously, a long way to go if some of this volatility continues. But I mean, how are you looking at maybe a more fundamental approach to Ethereum once some of this chop goes away? Are you expecting it to once again outperform Bitcoin by a pretty wide margin this year?
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of investors right now are discounting the merge transpiring this year. I think there's obviously good reasons to be doubtful about that catalyst as it pertains to the Ethereum network. Obviously, would be a monumental step to transition from proof of work to proof of stake, and that timeline has been pushed back, countless times. But all indications point towards a firm probability that the transition from ETH 1.0 to 2.0 occurs sometime in that end of Q2 through Q3 timeframe, which quite frankly will be a enormous catalyst for Ethereum, and certainly something that we're going to continue to keep an eye on and could be an opportunity for outperformance.
Sean Farrell, Fundstrat, Head of Digital Asset Strategy. Always good to have you on the show. Appreciate the time today.